You think men break under pain? No. Pain is honest. Pain is simple. Pain ends. A man breaks fastest when you take away the thing he uses to explain himself to the world. Picture it. A room that is too quiet. A table too clean. A single chair placed just far enough from the light that the face becomes a silhouette. He sits there with his spine stiff, rehearsing courage like a prayer. He believes he is being tested. He believes this is about strength, but you are not testing strength. You are removing meaning. You don't attack his body first. That's crude. That's predictable. Any animal can do that. You attack the architecture that holds him upright. Certainty, status, belonging, and the illusion that his effort leads somewhere. You let him speak, and you listen like stone. You let him plan, and you change the rules without warning. You let him win a small victory, then you make it irrelevant. You starve him of feedback until he begins to doubt his own senses. You surround him with people who smile while they quietly rewrite his story. Because the fastest way to break a man is not to defeat him. It is to make him invisible, to make his sacrifices feel unobserved, to make his loyalty feel unpaid, to make his voice feel like air hitting a wall. And once that happens, he will do the rest himself. He will tighten the knot. He will police his own thoughts. He will betray his own instincts just to feel safe again. He will call it maturity. He will call it acceptance. He will call it being realistic. But it's surrender. In this video, you'll learn the old method the polite world pretends doesn't exist. The precise sequence that collapses a man's will without raising your hand, and the counter moves that make you unbreakable when someone tries it on you. Let's begin. If you want the fastest collapse, you don't need force. You need vacancy. A man can endure almost anything when he can name it, when he can say, "This is why. This is what it costs. This is what it proves." Meaning turns suffering into a contract. It makes humiliation feel like training. It makes sacrifice feel like investment. So you don't attack him where he's hardened. You attack the reason he tolerates anything at all. The first step is to separate his effort from its reward, not by denying him every outcome too obvious, too clean. You give him intermittent victories, small wins, just enough to keep him reaching. Then you change the value of the prize. You move the goalpost quietly. You praise him for the wrong thing. You reward him when he compromises himself and ignore him when he stands firm. He learns the new law without being told. Integrity is expensive. Compliance is profitable. Now, the second cut. You remove visibility. You let him work in darkness. You let his loyalty become background noise. You let his competence become expected, then taken, then forgotten. You don't criticize him loudly. You simply stop noticing. You make his existence administrative. A man will fight an enemy. He will not fight a void. Because the void has no face, no argument, no moment of victory. It's not a battle. It's erosion. Then comes the final refinement. You destabilize his interpretation of reality. You keep your tone calm while you contradict his memory. You speak in half acknowledgments. You use ambiguity as a weapon. Maybe you misunderstood. Are you sure that's what happened? I don't remember it that way. You do this gently, as if you're helping. Soon he stops trusting his instincts. He starts asking permission to feel. He begins rewriting his own story before you even touch it. And that is the point. Breaking a man is not making him scream. It is making him doubt that his life adds up to anything. When meaning dies, discipline becomes self-harm. Ambition becomes exhaustion. Pride becomes a liability. He won't need a prison. He will build one out of his own thoughts and call it realism. A man can survive poverty, defeat, even disgrace if he still belongs somewhere. So you don't just hurt him, you separate him from witnesses. Because the fastest way to weaken a mind is to remove the mirrors that confirm who he is. Friends who say, "You're not crazy." Allies who say, "I see what they're doing." A circle that returns his identity to him when the world tries to take it. You don't banish him dramatically. That creates martyrs. You do it with precision. First, you make connection expensive. Every time he speaks openly, it costs him. Every time he asks for support, he's punished with inconvenience, sarcasm, or consequences. You don't forbid him from reaching out, you make him regret doing it. He learns to keep things to himself, then you blame him for being distant. Second, you poison his reputation in soft tones. Not accusations, questions. Not condemnation, concern. You plant doubt like a seed that grows in other people's mouths. He's been stressed lately. He's not himself. I don't know what's going on with him. Now, when he tries to explain, he sounds defensive. And defensiveness always looks like guilt to people who want an easy story. You don't need to destroy him publicly. You just need to make him socially costly. Third, you give him a substitute for belonging, conditional inclusion. A seat at the table, but only if he performs. Acceptance, but only if he edits himself. You let him taste closeness, then withdraw it when he asserts boundaries. He starts bargaining with his own dignity for warmth. And this is the trap. Isolation doesn't always look like loneliness. Sometimes it looks like being surrounded by people who don't truly know you. It looks like conversations that never touch the truth. It looks like being present, but unseen. That is where men decay. Because in isolation, every doubt gets louder. Every fear becomes credible. Without trusted eyes around him, he begins to accept the enemy's framing of reality. He begins to think, maybe I am the problem. Maybe I deserve this. Maybe this is just how things are. And once he believes that, you no longer need to control him. He will control himself. Men don't live on strength alone. They live on trajectory. A man can tolerate hardship if he believes it leads somewhere. If tomorrow makes sense, if sacrifice has a destination. The mind can endure hunger, exhaustion, and humiliation when it can point forward and say, this is temporary. This is the price. So the quickest way to break him is to destroy his timeline. You do it by making the future unreliable. First, you interrupt patterns. Routine is a quiet form of sovereignty. It tells a man he has influence over his own life. So you start rearranging the schedule, the rules, the expectations, not with drama, just enough unpredictability to keep him off balance. Plans are made, then canceled. Agreements are reached, then revised. Promises are given, then explained away. He learns that nothing holds, and once nothing holds, he cannot stand on anything. Second, you weaponize waiting. You delay decisions. You postpone answers. You keep outcomes suspended. He is left in a permanent pre-moment, unable to close the loop. This is not inconvenience, this is psychological extraction. The brain hates open endings. It will spend itself to resolve them. So he spends himself. He refreshes, checks, rethinks, replays, recalculates. He begins to live in anticipation instead of action. He becomes tired without having done anything. Third, you blur consequences. When effort no longer predicts outcome, the mind loses its incentive to try. Sometimes he works hard and is punished. Sometimes he slacks and is rewarded. Sometimes he does the right thing and is ignored. You make the world behave like a crooked casino. At first, he gambles harder. Then he stops believing. That is the moment you want. Not rage, not rebellion, collapse. The slow internal conclusion that time is meaningless, that choices don't matter, that nothing he does can secure him. When a man loses faith in cause and effect, he becomes easy to steer. He will accept bad deals just to stop the uncertainty. He will surrender territory simply to feel the ground stop moving. This is why tyrants love chaos. Chaos makes people beg for chains. And if you understand this, you also understand the defense. Guard your timeline. Build commitments that do not require permission. Anchor your days in rituals no one can cancel. Create futures that do not depend on unstable hands. Because the man who owns tomorrow cannot be broken today. The human mind can endure cruelty. What it cannot endure for long is confusion with consequences. If you want control, you don't scream. You don't threaten. You don't even need to lie much. You simply make the rules hard to see. First, you speak in doubles. You give him a standard, then punish him for following it too literally. You ask for honesty, then recoil when he tells the truth. You demand initiative, then accuse him of overstepping. You tell him to be strong, then call him cold. You tell him to be vulnerable, then call him weak. He starts searching for the real rule behind the rule. That search drains him. Second, you use selective precision. When he does something you dislike, you become extraordinarily specific. You can name the tone, the timing, the wording, the look on his face. But when he asks what you want instead, you become fog. I don't know. Just be better. You should already understand. If you cared, you'd know. Now, improvement becomes impossible because the target is invisible, and when a man cannot improve, he begins to submit. Third, you reward mind reading. The most efficient leash is the one he holds himself, so you treat his questions as failures. You punish him for seeking clarity and praise him when he guesses correctly. You train him to anticipate your mood the way a prisoner anticipates the guard's footsteps. Soon he stops asking for terms. He starts asking for permission. And here's the final twist. You present your confusion as his flaw. You keep your voice calm, your face neutral, your language reasonable. If he protests, he looks unstable. If he insists on consistency, he looks controlling. If he demands clarity, he looks needy. So he begins to doubt his right to understand. That's the moment the spine softens, because a man who no longer trusts his interpretation will accept yours. He will accept blame just to restore order. He will accept humiliation just to end uncertainty. He will accept the smallest approval as proof that the world is coherent again. This is how you make a man manageable, not by breaking his body, but by making clarity feel like a privilege that you grant. And once clarity becomes a privilege, obedience becomes the price. Men are not only driven by desire, they are driven by rank. Not the childish kind, money, titles, applause, the deeper kind, the feeling of being positioned, of being taken seriously, of having weight in a room. When that weight is removed, a man doesn't just feel sad, he feels unsafe. So you don't attack his confidence directly. That creates resistance. You attack the social proof that supports it. First, you reduce him in public with polite corrections. A small contradiction, a joke that lands just a little too sharp, a dismissal framed as practicality. You do it in front of others, but with a smile, so that if he reacts, he looks thin-skinned. He learns that defending himself costs him more status than the insult, so he swallows it. Second, you reroute credit. You let his work be absorbed into the collective. You praise the group while overlooking the individual. You reference outcomes without naming his role. If he speaks up, you treat it as insecurity. Now he's trapped. Silent means invisible. Speaking means petty. Third, you offer him a smaller throne. This is the genius move Machiavelli would recognize instantly. You don't take everything and leave him nothing. You take the real power, then hand him a symbol of importance that keeps him loyal. A minor authority, a narrow responsibility, a title without control, a place at the edge of the circle where he can feel included, but never influential. You let him manage a corner so he forgets you own the building. And because he has already been diminished, he will cling to that corner like it's salvation. This is how men become tame, not when they lose status, but when they accept a reduced version of themselves as the price of stability. They begin negotiating with their own worth. I'll tolerate this, as long as I'm still something. That sentence is a leash. The defense is brutal, but simple. Never accept a smaller throne to replace a stolen kingdom. If your status is being quietly cut down, restore it through competence and distance, not pleading. Make your value hard to ignore and your presence hard to access. Because the man who cannot be socially reduced cannot be socially owned. A man's anger is not his enemy. It is his fuel, his boundary, his signal that something is being taken. So if you want him broken, you don't eliminate the anger. You corrupt it. First, you bait it. You apply pressure in ways that are deniable. Small disrespect, a contradiction, a public slight disguised as humor, a boundary crossed with a calm face. You make the offense just subtle enough that if he reacts, he looks unreasonable. Now, his anger becomes evidence against him. Second, you reframe his anger as a defect of character, not as a response to injustice, no, as instability, immaturity, ego. You say the right words with the right tone. Why are you so emotional? You're overreacting. This is exactly what I mean. You don't debate the issue. You diagnose the man. And because most men are trained to fear being seen as out of control, he starts policing himself. He swallows the anger, but it doesn't disappear. It turns inward. It becomes shame. It becomes self-contempt. It becomes exhaustion. Third, you offer him a better identity, the restrained one, the evolved one, the man who doesn't get rattled. You praise his silence as strength. You reward him when he accepts disrespect with a neutral face. He starts confusing numbness with mastery. Now the final strike. You make him apologize for his boundaries. He begins saying sorry for being hurt, sorry for being offended, sorry for wanting clarity, sorry for needing respect. This is the inversion of power. Once a man apologizes for protecting himself, he has surrendered his right to protect himself. He will tolerate anything as long as he can pretend he is being noble. But nobility without leverage is just slow execution. The defense is to treat anger like a blade. Never swing it wildly, never hide it out of shame. You sharpen it into action. You convert it into decisions, distance, and consequences. You speak once, clearly. You enforce quietly. You don't explode, because the man who can use anger without being used by it is the one they cannot break. The most permanent prison is the one a man defends. If you want the break to last, you don't just weaken him, you recruit him. You make him participate in the very system that is crushing him until his pride becomes invested in the lie. This is how you end rebellion without ever fighting it. First, you give him choices that all lead to the same loss. Two paths, both narrowing. Obey and keep a fraction of comfort, or resist and lose everything. You present it as freedom so he feels responsible for the outcome. Now the suffering is no longer something done to him, it is something he chose. Second, you extract public buy-in. You get him to say it out loud, defend the arrangement, praise the leadership, repeat the narrative, even in small ways. A nod in a meeting, a forced laugh, a line he posts, a justification he tells a friend. The moment he speaks your version, his ego becomes trapped, because if he later admits the truth, he must also admit he was weak enough to accept it and foolish enough to endorse it. Most men would rather stay in the wrong story than face that humiliation. So, you make his dignity hostage to his denial. Third, you use sunk costs like a noose. You remind him of what he's already sacrificed. Years, reputation, relationships, dreams he bent to fit the cage. The more he loses, the harder he clings, because walking away would mean confessing that the loss was unnecessary. He stays to make it worth it. That phrase has ended empires inside men. And now, the final refinement. You let him police others. Give him a small role, enforcing the rules that bind him. Let him correct the newcomers. Let him mock the rebels. Let him become the guard in a prison he once hated. At that point, breaking him is complete. Not because he is weak, because he has become loyal to what diminished him. The defense is severe. Refuse complicity at the earliest stage. Do not defend arrangements that degrade you. Do not speak the enemy's narrative to buy peace. Silence is cleaner than endorsement, and distance is cleaner than argument. Because the man who cannot be recruited cannot be captured. If you've listened closely, you already know the secret beneath every method. A man breaks where he can be grabbed: meaning, belonging, timeline, clarity, status, anger, conscience. Each is a handle. Each is a lever. Each is a place where your inner world touches other people's hands. So the final chapter is not about how they destroy you. It's about how you deny them access. First, stop begging reality to be fair. Fairness is a child's expectation dressed in adult language. The world rewards leverage, not virtue. When you accept this, you stop bleeding energy into outrage and start converting it into strategy. Second, build internal authority. Your mood cannot be negotiable. Your identity cannot be crowdsourced. Decide what you are, what you tolerate, and what ends immediately. The strongest men are not loud, they are consistent. People fear what does not bargain. Third, create parallel sources of meaning. If one institution, one relationship, one leader can erase your purpose, you were never free. Make your life multi-rooted. Skills, body, money, craft, faith, discipline. When one pillar is attacked, the structure still stands. Fourth, enforce consequences without theater. No speeches, no pleading, no performative anger. One warning if you choose to give it, then action, distance, withdrawal, replacement. Control is not proven by intensity. It is proven by the fact that your boundaries cost people something. Finally, master strategic silence. Not the silence of fear, the silence of sovereignty. When you stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you, you remove their favorite weapon. You do not argue with fog. You do not negotiate with the void. You move. This is what Machiavelli understood. Power is not a personality trait. It is an arrangement, a design, and design can be changed. They break men by finding the handle. You become unbreakable by refusing to have one. Subscribe, like, commit yourself to the discipline of seeing clearly and moving accordingly. Initiation is not a feeling, it is a decision.